are watching Channel Adrian TV.
Yo, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, X. Welcome back to another early morning and late nights episode. And this episode is titled, You Should Only Be Committed to Things That Are Actually Going to Help You in Life. Because a lot of people take success and trying to accomplish goals, in my personal opinion, they make it harder than what it needs to be. You should only be focused on things that are going to help you reach that goal. It's literally that simple. And I think that's what a majority of the people struggle with. Now, I know some of you who may be listening to this may say, that's simple, that's common sense, of course it is. But I never understood if that was the case. Why do people continue to complain when they're not where they are in life? Why do people continue to complain when they don't make it? In my personal opinion, it has to be they're not doing all the things they need to do to be successful. Because if you're not good enough, at some point, your common sense will kick in and saying, okay, regardless if I'm working hard, I'm not good enough to make it in that area or that field. So at some point I gotta maneuver, I gotta change things around. And that in itself isn't a failure, especially if you learned. And then plus you have to learn to pivot. That's why with my channel, I'm not only focusing on dating, I focus pretty much about everything that I'm into: shoes, sports, working out, finances. I pretty much talk about everything. I don't always talk about relationships, but a lot of those things I talk about in relationships can apply into your life. It could apply to your workplace. It could apply to everything. So that's something I've understood. You can't be so one-dimensional. And another thing of focusing on things that's going to help you become better is you got to always adapt and understand when you need to pivot and when you need to change things. And that's why a lot of things that I do, its only sole purpose is for me to help myself get better in whatever I'm trying to do. Whether that is producing content for my YouTube channel, for Facebook, for Rumble, or any social media platform. Whether that's hitting personal goals with my weight or hitting goals in the gym. All of my goals stem from that, and if it doesn't help me in that area, I don't do it, because it's a waste of time and a waste of money and a waste of energy. And hopefully y'all heard me with the windows down, so I just rolled the windows up because it's kind of hot, so I'll probably just have to turn the AC on, but not too loud so y'all can still hear me. And that's why, like I said, I don't take a lot of vacations, or I don't take a lot of time off, because if I didn't get to where I need to get to or accomplish the goal, I don't understand what's the part. Why are you partying? Why are you taking days off when that day could be another day of you getting closer to your goal, another day of you actually accomplishing your goal or getting you closer? And that's why it's hard for me to take people seriously when it comes to their goals and to what they want to do in life. Now, y'all keep in mind, because this is like my early morning and late nights series that I do on YouTube and stuff, I'm not like this 24/7, but since the topic at hand deals with motivation, that's where my mindset is. Because I think some people, when they see this content or hear this content, they think that's how I'm like 24/7. No, you just got to understand setting. And that's pretty much what I'm all about. You just have to understand that you have to put first things first. And don't let other things bother you. Don't let other things sidetrack you. That's why I said in the beginning of this video, you should only focus on things that's going to help you. That's why I'm glad I don't have a drinking problem. I don't always have to go out to eat. Now, I know I do like my Chipotle, but if push come to shove and I can't get my Chipotle, I won't get it. And honestly, the main reason I like Chipotle because I can still portion size my meals to where I don't have to cook and take the time to measure. Because I don't know how long y'all been listeners of this channel, but one of the things I've always said is if I could have my meals prepped for me so I could save time, I would much rather do that instead of taking the time to cook. Now, there's nothing wrong with cooking, and I could cook, but if me not cooking gives me an extra 45 minutes to an hour to do something I want to accomplish, that's going to help me get closer to my goals, as I was talking about in the beginning of this video, I much rather do that than waste the time cooking. A tip for y'all: when it comes to people that do want to vent about them not being successful or accomplishing their goals, and you know the person, but if you know they're doing stuff that is detrimental to their own success. Basic example, let's say someone wants to save $10,000, but you saw them on the social media saying how they were at a game or how they was at a bar or doing something that spent money instead of saving that $10,000. In my personal opinion, you shouldn't care about what they're going through. You shouldn't, me personally, it'll fall on deaf ears. So you're better off talking about it to somebody else, because if you're not making decisions that are going to help you, what's the point to do that and then cry when you don't get the result you want? To me, that's stupid. What's the definition of insanity? Doing something over and over, expecting a different outcome, but doing it over, something like that. I know y'all know what the saying I'm talking about. I know it's something like that, like doing something, the same thing over and over when it doesn't work. And the best thing about that is when you're focused, when you're only doing things that help you get closer to your goal, it cuts out a lot of problems in your life too. Because since you're so focused with your time and you're so driven, anything that interrupts that purpose, anything that interrupts what you're doing, you immediately just leave it alone, because you can kind of feel, you don't even have to be around it long. You can feel how it's messing up your flow of what everything you got going on. And I think this is definitely hard, especially when you start to date and court, especially if you want to get married and actually have a relationship and build towards something. Because what's hard, well, for me, what is hard is finding someone that driven and dedicated, and also that mature of not to complain when things don't go their way if they're not exercising every opportunity and making every right decision. Because it's like I said in one of my previous videos, you have to make so many right decisions for things starting to snowball, for things starting to go in your. You have to make so many right decisions so things start snowballing to where you're going to get so many wins in a row. But that only starts with you making the right decision first. And then that right decision may not be where you get that snowball effect. It may be like the 30th or 40th or 50th right decision you made, but that's just how life goes. So men and women, remember, only focus and only do things that are going to help you get closer to your goal. If it doesn't help you get closer to your goal, why are you doing it? And what I've noticed is a main reason why people do it is because they're either stupid, bored, or both. I appreciate all the support, and I will talk to y'all in another video.